Hi, welcome to my video and welcome to the last in my Balcony Garden 2019 series. This is the third and final episode in that series. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I changed up my balcony for the fall season. And by changed up, I guess I'm covering the plants that died, what went over, what did I have to replace, what did I choose to propagate, and what seeds am I keeping for the next year. I'll put some time markers down below so that you can skip ahead if you need to. Otherwise, let's get started. So going back to July 31st, this was a great day. This was the first day that we were able to harvest our Rapunzel tomatoes. Sadly, these didn't do as well as I was expecting. They didn't cascade down beautifully. They just kind of grew in random bunches, which was fine because we still were able to get about 40 tomatoes. They were very juicy and sweet. The snack bell peppers did okay, I suppose. We got about 12 peppers, nowhere near as many as I was hoping for, but they were delicious. They taste very similar to a sweet bell pepper. They're just miniature in size. I didn't decide to keep any seeds from the snack bell or from the Rapunzel tomatoes. I didn't think it was necessary. By August 20th, a lot of the plants were kind of coming down to the end of their lifespan. This here is the moss rose purslane. It is one of my favorite plants, and I've had it every summer that we've lived in our building. This is what it used to look like earlier in the summer when it was just starting to flower, mostly the yellow buds. Now, the best thing to do if you want to continue to enjoy this plant is to propagate it, and this plant is easily propagated by simply taking cuttings and sticking them back into the soil. You can do this at any stage of growth with the plant, in my experience. So I took a couple of my favorite colors that I really enjoyed, stuck them into a new pot, and they will make stems which will go on to flower. One of my favorite plants from this season is the garden variety geranium, the good old geranium, which is a humble flower, but which is really beautiful. And this was the second bloom of this flower. It bloomed once, I deadheaded it, and it sent out more new growth. So at August 20th, I'm just waiting for those to take off again. I also had an African marigold, which again was one of my favorites from this year. Here's a shot of it from earlier in the summer. You can see it's looking beautiful and vibrant, these chubby blooms. There's one flower there that's starting to wilt, and as tempting as it is to cut those flowers off immediately, if you allow them to dry on the stem, you can preserve the seeds. The seeds are inside. As I open this one up, you can get a look at them. Those are the seeds right there. You can just scatter them on top of soil. Now, they won't all take, but some of them will give you new plants. I would even let it get as dry as this, what you're seeing right here. These seeds would probably be a little bit more successful than the previous ones. So the calibrachoa, if you don't remember what this looks like, since it's burned to a husk here, I will show you a shot, there it is, of what this looked like earlier in the summer, these beautiful, delicate little flowers. Now, you can only grow these from seeds, to my knowledge. I don't believe you can propagate them. So when it's done, it's done. The best thing to do is cut it down, get rid of it, replace it with a new plant if you like. We also really enjoyed our miniature carnations. In fact, this plant continues to flower to this day. Here's a shot from earlier in the summer. You can see a real difference in the colors of the stems and the leaves. Here it's coming toward the end of its lifespan. I tried to clean it up a little bit around the base, picked off some of those burnt leaves. I also tried to do a good job of removing the dead buds. Oftentimes, a stem will have a bud that is waiting to flower and a bud which is already flowered. So I tried to pick off the dead ones, keep the budding flowers intact so that it can continue to grow and flower. Another favorite of mine is this Vancouver Centennial geranium. This was an unexpected find at Nations in the stockyards. It flowers much like a regular geranium. It sends out a very long stem, which blossoms, and when that's gone over, you should absolutely deadhead it because it will send out more new growth. If I'm lucky enough to find another of these next year, I will try again. I might even try to bring this one inside because we do have a lot of indoor plants as well, and it might be interesting to see if I can keep this alive inside. Later in the summer, I decided that it was time to completely get rid of the snack bell pepper and the Thai red dragon. Remember that? I specifically didn't give an update on it earlier because there was nothing to update. It gave me 2 peppers, and I am still disappointed that it didn't do well. So I ripped those out. I picked up some mums and pansies, which do well in colder temperatures, and I decided that I would replace some of the plants that had gone over with these new plants. I also got some terracotta pots from Plant World, which is closing down, sadly, to make way for new condos. I guess it gives me a reason to look for a new nursery, and I do have a couple other nurseries that I go to. So I got a lot of terracotta pots from there because they were on discount, and I picked up these pansies and mums, as I said, because they were really, really cheap. I got 3 different colors. I got purple, white, and yellow mums. I'm not a big fan of the dark red mums, sadly. I know some people really like that color, and I've seen arrangements where they look quite beautiful, but they're not really for me. I did not replace my soil. I know it's probably advisable to replace the soil so that you give the plants as much nutrients as possible, but I didn't do that. I know that I'm just going to enjoy these plants for the course of the fall, and that's it. I'm not looking to really prolong the life of these plants any longer than the season allows. Now, usually the pansies come around in the spring. As I said, they do tolerate colder temperatures quite well. But when I saw them come back around for the fall, I was really happy because in my garden this year, I didn't have a lot of purple. I don't think I had a single flower that was purple. So I got these purple and yellow variegated flowers, and I got some that were just plain purple and some that were plain yellow, and I thought that the combination looked really pretty. I put 2 in this pot, and I put 4 actually in the larger terracotta pot that I have. And I know that these pansies are not going to spread too much, so I wasn't worried about crowding. Of course, you have to be careful if you are putting more than 1 plant in a pot. I would never do this with herbs. I mean, herbs and, flowering plants and plants that don't flower like herbs are very different in my opinion. I'm sure experts can corroborate that. And you don't want to strangle plants by putting too many of them together. I'm sure there's a better way to say that. Anyway, I was really happy on this day. Our space was due for a revival. It's been so hot in Toronto, and I really struggled this summer to keep my plants well hydrated, even though I was watering them in the morning, sometimes twice a day, in the evening as well. So this day, I remember being really happy to work with my hands and set these plants in soil and just see our space come alive again. Our balcony is really important to us. It's just our little space that we own in the outdoors where we can relax and enjoy our tea and coffee, and being able to fill this space with beautiful plants is how we enjoy our summer. I mean, it's one of the ways in which we enjoy our summer. All right, so September 23rd, this was just Monday. This was taken earlier this week. Part of my tomato plant broke in the wind. Yes, it made me very sad. But I'm still hanging on to this tomato because it made new stems and flowers and it started to attract bees. My patio lights, on the other hand, have died. They just don't get charged anymore, which is really disappointing because I've only had them for like 2 years and I thought they would last longer. You can see that the mums are doing really well. They've completely filled up their pots, and my goal for the next couple of weeks is just to keep these plants thriving as much as possible. I would have loved a more dramatic fall transformation where the balcony would be full of fall colors and I could put a pumpkin out there, but the thing is, so many of my plants that are still doing well are very summery, and I don't want to get rid of those colors, like this beautiful geranium. So maybe next year I'll try to do something a bit more cohesive. Even the carnation is still here. It's even sending out new growth. But, for this year, I've been, I guess, reconciled with how the balcony did. It was not always easy. Some parts of it were even disappointing, I would say, particularly with the edibles like the peppers and some of the herbs. But, that's gardening. It's just an adventure, I guess. Anyway, thank you so much for spending time with me. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. I love seeing our community grow. I will see you again very soon with a new video, and I think we're just going to get right back in the kitchen and share a recipe next time. Okay, bye-bye.